Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, where we dive deep into the heart, the soul, and the absolute unyielding passion of Philippine basketball. Today, we are looking at a situation that has the potential to completely shift the tectonic plates of our national basketball program. We are talking about the kind of news that stops every single basketball fan in their tracks. The title of today's deep dive says it all: Amazing Power. Two legit shooters and an NBA caliber player. Can the SBP give a call up? This is not just another rumor mill churning out baseless hopes. We are staring at a pivotal moment in the history of Gilas Pilipinas. For decades, we have understood the profound, almost religious devotion that this country has for the game of basketball. From the makeshift hoops in the deepest barangays to the gleaming hardwood of the massive arenas, basketball is the absolute lifeblood of the Filipino sporting spirit. But on the international stage, particularly in the grueling, unforgiving arenas of FIBA competition, that passion has often met the harsh reality of global basketball evolution. We have always had the heart. We have always had the quickness. We have always had the fight. What we have constantly been searching for, what has kept the architects of our national program awake late into the night, is the exact combination of size, top-tier floor spacing, and transcendent world-class talent. Today, we are looking at a hypothetical scenario that feels closer to reality than ever before. We are talking about injecting amazing power into the roster. We are talking about two absolute, legitimate, knockdown shooters and an elite NBA caliber talent potentially waiting in the wings. The burning question that is echoing through every single sports forum, every social media thread, and every barbershop debate is simply this: can a Samahang Basketballing Pilipinas, the SBP, pull the trigger and make this call-up a reality? To truly understand the magnitude of this potential acquisition, we have to rewind and look at the modern landscape of international basketball. The FIBA game is no longer the game it was 20, 10, or even 5 years ago. The physical demands have skyrocketed. The tactical sophistication has reached unprecedented levels. European powerhouses, rising African nations, and our fiercest rivals right here in the Asian region have drastically upgraded their developmental programs. The margin for error in international play is virtually zero. You miss a defensive rotation, and you are punished. You fail to secure a defensive rebound against a team with superior size, and you are broken down. But most importantly, if you cannot stretch the floor, if you cannot threaten the defense from beyond the arc with absolute consistency, your offense will suffocate. This is why the prospect of adding two legitimate shooters to the Gilas Pilipinas lineup is not just an upgrade. It is a fundamental transformation of how the team can operate. Imagine the sheer gravity that two elite perimeter threats bring to the court. We are not talking about streaky shooters who can occasionally hit a corner three when the defense falls asleep. We are talking about lethal, high-volume marksmen who command the immediate and terrified attention of opposing defenders the second they cross half-court. When you have that kind of spacing, the entire geometry of the basketball court changes. The driving lanes that were previously clogged with massive, rim-protecting centers suddenly open up. The pick-and-roll game, which is the absolute staple of modern offensive basketball, becomes an unsolvable puzzle for the defense. If the opposing team decides to collapse into the paint to stop our slashers, our big men, or our naturalized players, these two shooters will make them pay with ruthless efficiency. This is the amazing power we're discussing. It is the power of spacing, the power of offensive fluency, and the power of dictating the terms of engagement on the basketball court. But as incredible as two elite shooters would be, the conversation reaches an entirely different stratosphere when we introduce the concept of an NBA caliber player joining the fray. An NBA caliber player is not just an athlete. They are a completely different tier of basketball entity. They possess a processing speed of the game that operates fractions of a second faster than almost anyone else on the floor. They bring a level of physical conditioning, burst, and raw athletic power that translates directly into dominance in the FIBA setting. We have seen what happens when players with genuine NBA experience and skill sets put on the national colors. They do not just elevate their own statistics. They elevate the confidence, the swagger, and the absolute ceiling of every single player sharing court with them. An NBA caliber talent brings shot creation in late clock situations, an area where Gilas has historically struggled against elite defensive teams. When the offensive system breaks down, when the opposing team switches every screen and denies every passing lane, you need a player who can simply put the ball on the floor, break down their primary defender, and go get a bucket. So, why hasn't this happened yet? Why is the question, can the SBP give a call up, so incredibly complex? This is where the passion of the fans collides with the strict, often frustrating bureaucratic realities of international basketball governance. The SBP is navigating a minefield of eligibility rules, specifically the infamous FIBA Article 3.21a, which dictates the strict parameters for heritage players acquiring passports before the age of 16. Beyond the FIBA rules, there are the logistical nightmares of scheduling. NBA and top-tier international leagues have seasons that directly conflict with crucial FIBA windows. Getting a commitment from players of this magnitude requires intense negotiation, securing insurance, managing the expectations of the professional clubs, and seamlessly integrating them into a national team system that may have been practicing together for months. It is not as simple as sending a text message and telling them to show up at the airport. It requires a monumental, highly coordinated effort from the SBP's management team. Yet, despite these hurdles, the sheer possibility of this trio, two elite snipers and an NBA-level engine, donning the Heelers jersey is enough to electrify the entire nation. It represents a paradigm shift. It tells the world that the Philippines is not just content with participating. We are looking to assemble a roster that can legitimately go toe-to-toe with the absolute giant of the sport. The fans know it. The players know it. And the SBP certainly knows it. The clock is ticking. The international tournaments are looming on the horizon. And the window of opportunity to capitalize on this extraordinary pool of talent is right now. We are standing on the precipice of what could be the most thrilling chapter in Philippine basketball history. The amazing power is there waiting to be unleashed. The shooters are ready to lock and load. The NBA caliber talent is within our grasp. It all comes down to call-up. Now, let's transition into a deeper analysis of exactly how this specific combination of talent addresses the historical and tactical vulnerabilities of the Philippine national team. To appreciate the cure, we must deeply analyze the disease. For years, the traditional Philippine style of basketball has been characterized by immense heart, incredible speed, dazzling ball handling, and a heavy reliance on isolation plays and penetration. Our guards are some of the most skilled and fearless in the world, capable of breaking ankles and finishing over players a foot taller than them. However, when we transition from the domestic leagues to the world stage, this style of play often hits a massive, impenetrable wall. European and elite American teams scout this tendency meticulously. They implement drop coverages, pack the painted area, and essentially dare our playmakers to beat them from the outside. When the three-point shots are not falling, the offense stagnates. The ball sticks. We end up taking heavily contested, low-efficiency mid-range jumpers late in the shot clock. This is precisely why the introduction of two legitimate, high-level shooters is the ultimate antidote to the defensive strategies historically used against us. Let us break down the anatomy of a legit shooter in the context of international basketball. It is crucial to distinguish between a good shooter and a truly elite floor spacer. An elite shooter does not need to have the ball in their hands to be effective. Their mere presence on the weak side of the floor acts as a massive deterrent to help defense. Think about a standard pick-and-roll run by our primary ball handler at the top of the key. If the opposing center drops back to protect the rim, and the weak side defender slides over to bump the rolling big man, an elite shooter standing in the corner suddenly finds themselves wide open. If that shooter has a lightning-fast release and a high conversion rate, the defense is immediately punished. Furthermore, legitimate shooters create what analysts call closeout vulnerabilities. When the ball is swung to an elite shooter, the defensive player must sprint at top speed to contest a shot. A smart, high IQ shooter will use a simple pump fake to send that defender flying, immediately creating an advantage situation where they can attack the basket against a rotating defense or find an even more open teammate. Having two of these players on the floor simultaneously means that there is literally no safe place for the defense to hide. You cannot double-team our primary scorer, and you cannot clog the paint, because doing so mathematically guarantees an open look for a lethal sniper. This level of offensive efficiency is what separates the medal contenders from the teams that go home early in the group stages. Now, Let us analyze the impact of the NBA caliber player in this specific ecosystem. When we say NBA caliber, we are encompassing a wide array of attributes. It could be an elite wing defender who can completely shut down the opposing team's best perimeter player, removing the need for double teams and allowing our defensive structure to remain intact. It could be a transcendent point guard who dictates the pace of the game, reads complex defensive coverages in real time, and delivers pinpoint passes to our newly acquired shooters right in their shooting pockets. Or, perhaps most devastatingly, it could be a versatile, modern big man, a player with the size to protect the rim and secure vital defensive rebounds, but also the fluidity and skill to step out to perimeter, handle the ball, and shoot the three. When you combine an NBA-level talent with two elite shooters, you create a synergistic effect that is far greater than the sum of its parts. The NBA player acts as the primary gravitational force. They demand the attention of the defense through their ability to create their own shot and pressure the rim. As the defense collapses to contain them, the ball is kicked out to the shooters. This dynamic drastically reduces the offensive burden on our domestic players, allowing them to play more freely and aggressively within their defined roles. It provides a coaching staff with an endless array of tactical options, from 5-out offensive schemes to complex dribble handoff actions designed to spring the shooters free. However, we must also address the massive logistical and bureaucratic challenges facing the Samahang basketball in Pilipinas. Bringing this dream to life is an incredibly intricate puzzle. The SBP operates under intense scrutiny, balancing the desires of the fan base with the inflexible rules of FIBA. The pursuit of heritage players, those with Filipino blood who grew up overseas, has always been a painful point of contention due to the strict passport regulations. If these two shooters and the NBA caliber player fall under the category of heritage players who did not secure a Philippine passport before the age of 16, the SBP must fight tooth and nail to appeal their cases, often requiring extensive documentation and legal maneuvering to prove their deep ties to the country. Even if eligibility is secured, the challenge of integration remains. Basketball is a game of chemistry, rhythm, and mutual understanding. Parachuting 3 incredibly talented players into a national team environment just weeks or even days before a major tournament is extremely risky. The coaching staff must redesign offensive sets to maximize the new talent while ensuring that the existing players, who have bled and sacrificed in the qualifying windows, do not feel alienated. It requires masterful man management, clear communication roles, and a collective willingness to put the country's goals above individual statistics. The SBP's role is not just to acquire the talent, but to foster an environment where that talent can seamlessly blend with the heart and soul of the local players. As we reach the conclusion of this extensive analysis, we must take a step back and look at the broader implications of what this means for the future of the sport in our country. The possibility of the SBP calling up two absolute, legitimate shooters and an NBA caliber player is more than just a roster update. It is a massive statement of intent. It is a declaration that Philippine basketball is refusing to be left behind as the global game accelerates into a new era of skill, size, and tactical complexity. The journey of Gilas Pilipinas has always been an emotional roller coaster for the fans. We have celebrated historic victories that brought the nation to tears, and we have endured agonizing defeats that exposed our systemic weaknesses on the world stage. But through it all, the dream has remained constant: to assemble a team that truly reflects the boundless passion and potential of the Filipino people. This potential call-up represents the missing pieces of a puzzle we have been trying to solve for generations. It addresses our desperate need for consistent outside shooting to combat modern defensive schemes. It provides us with the top-tier, world-class talent required to break down elite opponents when the game is on the line. If the SBP can successfully navigate the administrative hurdles, if they can secure the commitments, handle the FIBA eligibility requirements, and seamlessly integrate this amazing power into the existing framework of the national team, the sky is absolute the limit. We are looking at a team that would not only dominate the regional competitions, but would pose a massive, legitimate threat in the FIBA World Cup and the Olympic qualifiers. Opposing teams would no longer look at the Philippines as just a scrappy, undersized team with a lot of heart. They would have to scout us as a deeply dangerous, multi-dimensional offensive juggernaut. The fans are waiting. The entire basketball community is holding its collective breath. We all recognize the amazing power that is currently hovering just out of reach. We know the incredible impact that two legit shooters and an NBA caliber player would have on the hardwood. The ball is now firmly in the court of the SBP. The mandate is clear. The opportunity is historic. Can they get the call up? Will they make the moves necessary to usher in this golden era of Philippine basketball? Only time will tell. But one thing is absolutely certain. The pursuit of greatness never stops, and the heart of the Filipino basketball fan will never stop believing. Thank you all for joining me in this massive deep dive. The landscape of international basketball is shifting rapidly, and we will be right here to cover every single development, every rumor, and every official announcement regarding Gilas Pilipinas and the SBP.